Cobra's Curse at Busch Gardens, Tampa is probably one of the most well-designed family coasters out there. Everything about this ride is just really cool. Yeah, the ride is not going to be super extreme or anything, but if you look at all that this ride packs in, it's pretty amazing. I mean, let's look at this. We first off have an elevator lift hill. That's rare. We have a massive Cobra statue. That is beautiful. It's no wonder everyone loves taking pictures of this ride. You go face to Fang, and you start off with your first third of the coaster going forwards. Then the cars spin you around so you go through the next portion backwards. Go up a lift hill backwards, and then you go through the rest of the layout spinning. I can't think of any other ride that comes close to doing anything like that. Having so many different configurations in one layout. There are some rides that will go forwards and backwards, but not also spinning. So for that reason, I think that this is a really cool ride. It's a great fit for Busch Gardens Tampa. They really needed something like this. And with the park being so well themed and having that overall African feel, one of my favorite things about this ride is the theming. Now, I'm not able to show you too much from the queue. However, the queue for this ride itself is very cool. Essentially, it's like an Egyptian mining site. The story goes that you're on this archaeological dig, and then the Cobra's curse is unleashed as you go looking for, your treasures of wealth and gold. And so now you have to escape the Cobra's curse. They have a cool projection in the middle of the queue. Again, I'm sorry I do not have any shots to show you guys of that, but go look it up. Like, it's pretty neat. The fact that they have something like that in a queue line. And another thing that I do really enjoy about this ride is that it actually has a moving loading platform. So the line never stops moving because the vehicles never stop moving. It's also just very clever how they have the whole thing set up, especially if you're someone that is handicapped and need more time to board the vehicle. They have a cool transfer that will slide the car over so it can give you more time to board. So they really thought of everything, which is something that I really like. So going in a bit more in depth, so you roll out of the station, start out with that vertical elevator lift. One thing that's cool is because they have two sets of track, one going up the vertical lift, one going down, that does increase capacity, and that way they can always have multiple vehicles going on this ride. But to accommodate that, the vertical lift hill kind of goes out and then back in to line up. If you have ridden Cannibal, then you know that as you're going up that elevator lift, you start to bank either left or right depending on which side you're on. Here, they have some sort of gyro set up so that you remain perfectly level the entire time, which is something that I didn't know about. So here I am expecting it to bank a little bit going up, and it doesn't, which, makes sense. It's a family coaster, and it's just a small little detail, so I don't think it's that big of a deal, but it was something that me as an enthusiast can really appreciate. They took the time to come up with something like that. So anyways, you reach the top and you have this crazy view looking into the serpent's mouth. You have these massive fangs and you get really close to it. I know it's tough to see in some point of view videos how close you really are getting to it, but I was reaching out my arm trying to touch the statue it felt like we were that close. And it just banks slightly outwards so you feel like you're gonna go straight into its teeth, and then you curve out and go into your drop. This is the highest point of the ride. I'm assuming is where you reach that max speed of 40 miles per hour. This ride is not super fast, but honestly, I don't think it's that big of a deal. There's so much going on with this ride that I don't think I really minded. So you have a few bank turns, you get pretty low to the ground, and then you level out. And at one point, you hit a mid-course brake run, to which you hear some voiceover narration as your vehicle starts rotating and locking in the backwards position. And you're not going backwards for too long. You actually spend most of your time backwards going up a lift hill. But first you go through this small little helix. Not gonna lie, I thought that this was a pretty anticlimactic helix. You don't go through it very fast, and maybe that's okay because it's backwards, and so they want to keep it pretty tame, because typically when you go backwards on a roller coaster, that's considered an extreme element. So my thought process here was, okay, because they get a lot of kids because of the low height requirement, they probably wanted the backwards portion to be pretty tame so that you don't really get very many people who are sick, especially because it's a spinning coaster. You're bound to get someone that isn't feeling well. I think when we were over there, they had to stop the boarding process at one point to to clean out a vehicle because someone threw up. But anyways, I digress. So you start going up that lift hill backwards. Gives you a great overlook of Montu, actually, because this ride is literally right next to it. And from here, the vehicle unlocks, starts to rotate you a bit, and then you release and you go through the rest of the layout free spinning. I will say you do not spin that much. I think it really does come down to weight. In the end, I got to ride this coaster twice, and I'd say we probably got the same amount of rotations both times. It wasn't over the top or anything. So if you aren't big on spinning coasters and you're worried about getting dizzy, I honestly don't really think it's an issue with this ride. You are not spinning very fast. So if you think of those crazy like wild mouse coasters that you see on the side of a pier that are going absolutely nuts, this is not like that. This is definitely tamer. This whole ride in itself is fairly tame. And maybe that's why after I got off, I was like, oh, yeah, that was fun. Like, I didn't go crazy over or anything. To me, the thing that I really like about it is that it is so photogenic. I loved filming this thing. To me, that was what I really loved, because Busch Gardens Tampa is such a beautiful park. This ride really fits right in. As a ride experience, as an enthusiast, I thought it was fine. I think it is a fantastic family coaster. If I were to make a list of the 10 best family coasters out there, this would probably be in there. I think kids are really going to enjoy it. What I think this ride does well is that it can introduce people to extreme type of variations of rides, show you what roller coasters can do at a younger age. They're like, hey, there are some coasters out there that spin, so we'll have this one not spin too much, but do some spinning. And hey, coasters can go backwards, so let's go backwards for a little bit. It's also introducing people to near-miss elements with that giant Cobra statue. You aren't going through it very fast, but it can introduce people to things like hand choppers for rides like El Toro or a B&M wing coaster. When you go flying through this thing, you feel like you're gonna get hit with something. So for that reason, I think that this is a great beginner coaster. I definitely recommend it if you are looking to take someone on here and they haven't ridden very many rides before. Start them off on this before they ride something like Cheetah Hunt or even Scorpion, because Scorpion goes upside down. So all in all, I think Cobra's Curse is a pretty well done ride. Even as someone that wasn't absolutely going crazy about it after I got off, I can appreciate what the ride does, and I can see why a lot of people would get off and be going crazy. Like, that was so much fun, you know? I enjoyed my rides on it, but if you're like a hardcore enthusiast looking for the most adrenaline-packed ride, I'd suggest Montu right next door. So for its final score, I'm going to give Cobra's Curse a 9 out of 10. And for this, remember that this is ranked when comparing to all other family coasters out there. I'm not comparing this coaster to extreme thrill rides. So that's what that 9 out of 10 means. When compared to other family coasters around the world, I definitely put this one up there. But those are just some of my thoughts on Cobra's Curse at Busch Gardens Tampa. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think of this ride. And of course, make sure to stay tuned for more reviews here at Coaster Studios.